Pardon if I cough or something. I am smoking, but I'm a little under the weather. Seems to be coming and going really quickly. Um, anyway, I shouldn't be doing it, but there, I live in a very ruined place, with bullshit everywhere, in the food and the products and fucking signals roaming around. But anyway, so I just wanted to, I heard some Virginia Guffrin, um, the Epstein victim, one of many. I got reminded, or learned, about, yeah, it's like there's a difference between consent and non-consent, and people be like, well, you can't consent, and it's like, dude, you consent your whole life for things that steer you in a path, and yeah, I know they consent for football is, they consent for football, give your kid fucking, brain damage and shit, injure their body, you know. And no, I'm not trying to, other people have, roofied raped me a whole bunch. So, and I'm not sorry if I respond to some of your fucking ruder children. Thanks for not roofie molesting me. Um, and it feels very demonic whenever people usually bring their children around me. They're usually, and then there's this eyes wide shut shit, right? So they bring them around me because they're like, look, Chris, we fucking abused the shit out of you. You should be into this, blah, blah, blah. And then, there's the people actually offering it, and it's all like, fuck you, I was right. I'm trying to write a book. Um, one of the subtitles is going to be The Case for Earth. And yeah, so yeah, obviously, like choking someone, and I'm like thinking it's all going to be like, sunshine and rainbows ish, like, oh, they just have their Israel's hell and they do it with their children, but they prey on the innocent, is another, thing I haven't really talked about, that I just recently kind of, I'm like, oh, yeah, they get off on that, so yeah, it could be very complicated and a touchy subject. Not to, no pun, intended. Uh, I just walked to the park. And it actually is kind of sunny out, but it's still, they be spewing that shit again. They be spewing that shit again all over the place. So, I mean, like parents don't get to get together and pick up the mantle with child abuse. And that's like, fuck you, And also, you don't get to try to sexually abuse me into it. So that's like, fuck you for both sides, all right? So I could be an equal opportunity fuck youer, And that's why I'm so asexual. And people, like, be trying to hook me up with their fucking hot daughters since I was a fucking kid, and I do appreciate it, actually, but then I'm like in the situation and I'm like Edward Scissorhands in the fucking salon chair and shit, and I just, like, what do I do? Do I put something in my butt? Is that what I do? And of course all the people that sexually abuse me, like, yeah, you know. But it's also protection, as weird as it is. It's like, nah, I'd rather touch myself, fuck you. Fuck you. And, yeah, I'm supposed to be a child protector. And I have, like, nothing generally, like, against children. I'm like, yeah, there's demonic children and angelic children. And the neutrals, NPC type. It's like, okay, you know, um, I don't know how a deity, no one, of course, wants to discuss anything with me ever. They play stupid games with me forever, try to steer my emotions, and, I'm in control of it, but I get to talk about it too, you know, and I'm in control of my emotions. I guess that's there's been a few weird lessons this year, you know. So it's always some sort of progress. Um, but anyway, I'm focused on bigger fucking, you know, issues, or you know, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. I'm trying to dig further, you know, down, and other people have been doing that too, and I do appreciate those people. I can't watch everyone. I can't listen to everything and everyone. I need to have time to myself, and it's been a weird healing process. I know that Ice Wide shit occurred too, because they're trying to steer me towards Wyoming when I was in my 20s and shit. And that's one of the decisions why I'm like, oh yeah, Wyoming, there's Yellowstone National Park. You know, my parents visited there, and I am actually kind of drawn to it. So, you know, I like to visit the Devil's Tower. It used to be a big tree. Um, I like to visit these places, go road tripping sometime. But I'm also done fucking making money for fucking, like, you know, Zionists that use Jews all the time. People are like, you gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta work, work, work. Work, life is work. Man, that's some slave mindset. I'm sorry you're like that. I'm sorry things are like that. I'm sorry you got born into that. You know, things have been going on for a lot longer than hundreds of years, but we'll just, you know, and you got born into it, you know. But you're not going to, like, you know, make me produce money and move money around, because I'm like a little Hitler. Oh my god. But I'm not as evil as they would say. Yeah, I'm trying to find a place for the fucking, you know, Zionists and everything, you know. I'm like, yeah, you know, how about the Rothschild Island, or like the mid, you know, section of Florida, you know. Gotta have a place for them to be. And they obviously do their sexual shit at Disney, so people get all fucking mad at me. And I'm like, look, just be open about it. Why can't I fucking talk about that? I am talking about it. Fuck you if you can't handle it, you know. And they're like, okay, well, have your sexual MK Ultra ticket and non-sexual non-MK Ultra ticket there, you know. And that would be more proper than fucking forcing. But part of it is the forcing. And that's, you know, what I was reminded about, or, you know, learned about today. But I'm pretty sure, you know, I know things and I forget them. The amnesia's there. You know, I'm very ruined, you know. But only because I grew up in a very ruined, nation that does things. They're like, look, this is good for your children. It's good for them, you know, and it's really not. And I really see why Russia does their fucking the werewolf game, where there's like a group of people and two of them are like the werewolf, and like they pass piece of paper around, like, you're just a normal person, you're just a normal person, and then two of them are like werewolves. But like at the end of the day, the group's got to decide to like kill two, you know. And then, oh yeah, the werewolf, I forgot, yeah, the werewolf like kills some, and then people kill others to try to, you know, catch the werewolf that's killing other people. And essentially, like 80% of the time or some shit, it's like the fucking werewolf wins. And they do that because of the Zionist shit and the deceit and the two-facing and all that shit. So good for them. You know, that's why I offered Putin and Xi Jinping fucking, you know, my child, you know. I would trust them being raised in those nations if it must be done. I mean, they're all kind of connected anyway with the Illuminati shit. And you better, yeah, if you don't want, like, I mean, you know, I don't think it's gonna do something else. But I really think that bioweapon, there was a fucking meteor that crashed and somebody had recorded it, and it was like a rock. It was just like a normal rock like this, and it started having like tentacles come out and shit. Notice how it just goes through rock too, like your bunkers. Like, it's designed to burrow down and penetrate your bunkers. You know, interesting observations. Anyway, but I'm just, you know, a crazy person talking. So I'm still upset about a club lying me out of it, and it's like, go fuck yourselves, get to sexually abuse me and like point the fingers around. And that's why, see, they use the child protectors and everything, and that's why I'm not on your fucking side, because y'all fucked up, caught up in shit. Now when you like catch a Zionist, yeah, sure, that's a very safe assumption, because they do that, it's like an open secret over there. It's like, go back to your country and do that. And then you could also fucking, weaponize. I was like, look, in one of my previous videos, I was like, why don't you make a robot and make a child version? Who cares? And you could use that to catch some of the creeps too, right? So, but as long as it's not a human being, like it's just a robot. And I'm not saying abuse some other species either, but look, it's just a robot, whatever. I guess that will help out with some of your, demonically possessed, sexually abused, false targets out there, and who gives a fuck? It's not like they're holding your child down and choking them to death and raping them. That's totally different. It's like one is like a vehicle. It's like, but anyway, I know it's hard for people to even see things, and yeah, people might be like, fuck you to me, and whatever, that's fine. I don't care at this point. I want to move on to world-ending issues. And they keep on, fucking with the sky and everything, and then something else is going to happen. Something else is going to happen. And it's going to target the lizard people. I know, it's, they can't, they can't not resist. They're like super evil. They're like, no, fuck you. We do whatever we want. And then it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to solve everything. I need to do some meditating and connecting and everything. But yeah, I think it's been an alright year. Sorry everyone's like all caught up in doing evils and shit and being tricked into hell. That's one of my divine missions. That's why, no one is going to trick me into hell as the greeter of hell. But I'm not going to participate and make all your fucking Zionist money and all this false king and false idol shit. I'm not into that stuff, and I've already made enough money. And then you're going to like murder me in past lifetimes and then take my money away and then just make me worse and worse and worse. And it's like, go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves. All right? That's how I feel about it. You owe me some money, actually. And that's the way it is. Now we know, like, the bankers using money and praying to Moloch and Baal and everything. Where'd I put it? Over there. I put it over there. Okay, sorry. I was looking. I got a few cigarette butts to smoke here. I'm going to smoke them. I kind of collect them. I like big butts and you cannot lie. Yeah, so people sent me lovely fucking women. There's Jackie and I don't know about Jenny. But Orange Peel. And I don't, but I also don't like when you fucking send me lookalikes. That feels like you're just trying to manipulate me. It could be nice too, and that's the thing. It could be nice, but it feels, very manipulative, and I just, I get kind of turned off to that shit. So yeah, but things have been nice, and although I can't see it now, I'm gonna, keep going to the gym and I guess keep struggling with my book. Although I just came up with a recent idea, maybe with someone else, not helping me write the book, but maybe we could do some, magic together where it's not always so fucking hurtful. And I know I've had some magic help in the past few years, and that's nice. Thank you. I do appreciate it. But I was thinking about, maybe, working with someone else to maybe make a spell to help kick me in the butt about this book. That's all. Yeah. Because the computer is very distracting. It's almost like I need a typewriter so I don't turn any electronics on. Because then I turn electronics on and then it like hooks me in this other, bullshit. Shit that I'm used to and shit that I need to get away from. And that's why I can't watch all you. Like, I want to listen to you all, and I've been doing that for a really long time. And I can't possibly listen to everyone and, respond to everything and adjudicate every fucking situation. I think the stuff that was depicted in the movies isn't as bad as fucking the other stuff that goes on that people are like, yeah, right, whatever. And it's like, no, this is like Men in Black shit, but what if the Men in Black were evil? Going around, that ice cream truck shit, that was some Men in Black shit right there. And they were trying to lure people. I know all about it. I know all about this stuff. And they kind of do the same thing out here in Denver, the gang stalking, targeted individual thing. But I'm also a hot occult target, but it's the only way to kind of combat it too. So then you kind of like force people's hands, just like other nations fighting back and shit, and you force their hand, and it's like, no, I'm not going to let you fucking swing an axe at me. That just happened today in Palestine. And yeah, that's like, you guys all need to like shift your perspective a little bit. Like, the most anti-Semitic thing you guys could all be doing is fucking blowing up Jesus's people and genociding them. And then because they're weaponizing that shit, take that shit back. Yeah, and rightfully so. Hijack that shit back. Take anti-Semitism back. Yeah, it's anti-Semitic. I see anti-Semitism everywhere. We're fucking funding and supplying the genociding of Jesus's people. And maybe there is no redemption for Trump, and he's just going around, all trashy and everything. Because I was just thinking that the other day. I'm like, maybe, because I can't see everything, like, otherwise, if I could see everything and know everything, I would just go insane. So I'm just giving tidbits here and there. And then there's, of course, some hijacking bullshit going on. Hijacking attempts. With all their dues. With all their dues that are coming to light and everything. And yeah, they put that shit like above my fucking apartment 24/7. All of my family's medical history could be explained by long-term dew exposure. And they do the same thing to me where I live. I mean, it's been chill-ish lately, but they still drop things right above my head wherever I am, indicating they could just still see me through the walls, which is why they got rid of lead in the paint. So they could do that Wi-Fi imaging shit. Then, see, the evil works generationally too, just like the good does. And they're like, okay, well, in the 50s and everything, we'll get rid of the lead paint. Oh, we'll just use the protection of the children. The protection of the children. All these motherfuckers like to grandstand on. And then you're the ones being fucking, poisoning and ruining your kids the worst and shit. Like feeding them bad food and everything. Keeping bad signals around them and shit. Listening to the evil with a smile. Like, sure, I'll take care of your kid. Fucking being manipulated into abusing people for their whole lives. Y'all, not fucking, innocent. And that's why I'm here, to restore balance and to figure out why so many people are being tricked into hell. Are two of my main mission parameters there. And yeah, and that involves disclosure. And yeah, people don't have, like things that I have to say. I can't really please everyone, is the thing. When you're real and everything, people really fucking hate that shit. It's like, dude, it's not my life for you. It's not my life for me to make your choices for you. All right. And if you all had a weird society, like a more open Israel, then fucking whatever. That's their business, all right? Go over there and do that weird shit. I know they like feeding off the innocent too. So yeah, that's when they cross the line, is when they fucking involve other people's children. But if the Oprahs and the Clintons and the Gates want to get together, and not like collect a bunch of adopted children to like have feasts on, but they're doing their weird eyes wide shut shit. What the fuck ever, y'all got bigger fucking issues here on this fucking planet with all this cover up, and just everything is so ass backwards. And then here you have a Jesus-like figure. I can't stop smoking cigarettes or using my dildos. There, that's the darkest you made Jesus. Or someone like, I know, we're very similar. I don't think we would definitely not. We wouldn't not get along. We would totally get along. He'd be okay, Chris, your dildos are your thing, No, I'm okay on a cigarette, Chris. And that was one of the things the Jesuit families, did to me, especially with the smoking when I was a teenager. He would always hold his cigarette between his thumb and, like, he would hold it like this. James Andrews. I hold it, and most people hold it between their index finger and, middle finger. Also, he would drag his feet a lot, too, like the little shit demon he is. Yeah, and then I could have people, act weird all my life, and I feel that energy. Whether it's like, man, we hope we're getting Chris because, we know secretly deep down he wants to, or whatever the fuck you're thinking. I don't give a fuck. Or, we've been trying to recruit Chris and blackmail and extort him. Like, y'all could fuck off. All right? Thanks. Yeah, I do like the short hair. Please, send them, closer to my age. Thanks. I hope they're giving their classmates good foot jobs, or hand jobs, or whatever the fuck. You know. I know, right? But yeah, it's and I don't want to address it all the time. But there was an aspect that I was like, ooh, I should address that. So that's what I'm doing, is addressing it. And yeah, you shouldn't there's a big difference between consent and non-consent, and forcing yourself on somebody, no matter what age they are, is just wrong. And that's something I can never do. I understand the power dynamic. I just, I've never, it's like I have the opposite fantasy, which makes sense because I was roofie molested by my community into my adulthood. And then they're like, you should work after destroying me after so many lifetimes, and I made really so much money. Like, you could add it up. Like, where has Mercury popped up, huh? Got a lot of money from Hitler, so go fuck yourselves. I'm not gonna, play this stupid game. And I do appreciate the people that helped me along. There was a dude a few years ago that gave me his van. That was really nice of him. I was starting to get into it with a neighbor that kept calling the cops on me every day because I'm homeless on the side of the road in a vehicle. They can't really do much except annoy me. And that's where, I really was fuck you. Yeah, and they don't, they get the, I would say getting the Zionist, Epstein got, or his clone got, would be fair. But then you got to watch it, that you don't go over the edge. Because, they're doing that, torturous shit their whole life, right? People like George Zim and all these other Zionists and shit, they're doing that. So that would be a safe assumption. Although, not perfect, right? There's a lot of people who call themselves Zionists, but they don't really know, before October 7th, 2023, they were like, yeah, I'm just Zionist, da, 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 da. I don't really know much. And now they're like, ooh, I don't like using that. And those would be probably maybe the 5 or 10% of them. Most of them are fucking demonic. But there are, some blue-pilled angels there too. I would, being fair and everything. And that's what I'd like to do, is be fair. Like a fair judge. So yeah, they would have their fucking few angels there too. But it would just be nice if things were just a little bit more open, especially with the, sexual eyes wide stuff. So then we could just move on, that's the only real solution there. And I'm not going to forever war. They obviously, go around and they prey upon the innocence of others. And that shit happens, in the world. Um, with ghosts, it's very spiritual. Um, with experiments gone wrong or experiments gone right, right? And gobbling up some hiker or something. Maybe they were trying to find a cave that where it's more like secret military aliens living there, so they fucking kill everybody. So it's always a mystery. It's always a mystery, you know. And we need to realize that the planet isn't just ours. It's other creatures too. It's nice that we consolidate into cities. It's not so nice that you make like a bunch of food and spray the lands with a bunch of poison, the skies with a bunch of poison. Yeah, you guys started that shit up today, the fucking 19th of October here, uh, spraying the skies, fucking dicks, and that's messing with the divine design too much. Uh, and that's why I believe millions of those little venom things that move through rock, is coming to get and punish some lizard people. And it's just going to make it harder for you to maintain, and transform, but that right there is a big win. That'll be a big win for everyone. Trust me. Um, so yeah, it's not meant to like COVID you and give you clots and shit and, try to kill you secretly and everyone all pretend it's normal. It's normal that tens of thousands of kids are dying. Yeah, and, after taking their vaccine. That's just normal. And then like previously, they'll be like, there was 18 deaths recorded, because of this vaccine, and they got rid of it. And it's like, man, there's like tens of thousands, and all these coroners pulling out fucking shit that they never pulled out before COVID vaccine, and they're pulling out shit after the COVID vaccine. That was some evil lizard person stuff, and you can't really talk about the world without talking about other aliens, because they're all here. They're all here. You're part of an alien Truman show, sorta. I don't think it's jail. Only fucking like the little demons cosplaying God and everything would, this is jail. Of course they would. Um. So yeah, I can't really see. There's a dog in the distance with someone throwing a ball at them. Yeah, I try not to. I try to wear my glasses as much as I can. Although I do take them off at the gym, because who knows when someone But I'm they make me very vulnerable too without having a lover in my life and everything. And I'm always like, there's an ESP aspect to this shit too, where people could attract me. And it seems like the wrong people. And then whenever like, yeah, it just yeah, when they say this targeted individual stuff is spiritual warfare, it's like that's really accurate. um, but yeah, I'm done really. I can't litigate every fucking situation. Like, look, if Diddy was just and there was parents cool with it or whatever the fuck, and he wasn't roofie raping them, and he was just like at a weird sex party with some almost adults and everything, that is way different than the cooking and eating of babies, which sounds insane, but it's literally shit that happens. It's literally shit that happens, and people fucking drink their blood and scare the shit out of children and drink their adrenochrome. All that shit's true. All that shit's true. And but you don't think it's true, so you're like, this other stuff is the worst. And it's like, man, you can't even handle this fucking lighter shit, especially when it comes to weird, cult stuff that everyone seems to be in except me and like a handful of other targets. like the legit ones, not the pretending to be a target ones. Those are really annoying, the pretending to be a target ones. That's that fucking Jew, and I fucking, no. I'm tired of taking care of your women. I'm not going to make money for you. You know, I mean, I might crank out this book, which might be a little bit, so that'll be like the exception, but I'm not going to start a business. If I got my $13.666 million fucking for mating one of Russia or China's fucking women, I would probably like do like a food truck where like I just break even, you know, if that. You know, definitely I would give some away just because I'm a nice person and I don't, you know, I'm not into all that business shit. And there's a reason why I'm not into all that shit, because that's not like how life is supposed to be. But everybody, you know, I was talking to this dude, you know, that was like, you know, I just work all day and then I go home and I rest, you know, and it's like, man, that's not what life is supposed to be. I'm sorry things are like that. You know, I started off the video earlier like that. That's not how life is supposed to be. But I'm sorry a bunch of demons, you know, and their fucking false idol, fake king status has made you, you know, so ruined. You know, it gets much better. And that's how, like, you know, civilizations worked, by bartering and shit. They didn't need gold and all this stuff. They bartered. Like, you know, we have you know, 100 you know, barrels of wheat and da 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 da, and sometimes people take, you know, they're like, this isn't quite even, but it's okay. You know, we're exchanging. And, you know, you're in a smaller part of the area with not as many people, and you know, like, well, there's demons though that would be like, now. There's demons that would make up a money system and control you all, and then get your kids to chase money, and then put them in a situation where they're fucking getting choked and raped and shit. You know, and then they set up systems to misdirect the child protectors. So it's like, you know, I just I've kind of had it with everyone, and it's like, yeah, I'm supposed to protect children, and I'm going to be doing that with the shit that I want to do and get done. I'm not going to do it by hanging out with little Susie or fucking your son Jeffrey or whatever the fuck. You know, I've been raped enough by your children for into my adulthood. Which is so fucked up. Another thing no one wants to talk about. No one wants to talk about that shit, huh? Bunch of child protect bitches, huh? Or just using that to abuse other people. Just using the fucking, oh, I want to protect children. You know, yeah. They weaponize everything. Everything. Even compassion, like I said in one of my last videos. Then they make people fucking retarded and handicapped and fat, and then they're like, look, all of you other people that you would be doing, you know, bigger and better and greater things, even these people that we gave Down syndrome and cerebral palsy to would be doing bigger and better things. Yeah, well, now you're brain damaged, and hey, don't look at us, just, you know, like, just cuddle each other like harder, okay? Don't do anything about us. And I think you should, you know, but I don't think you're going to vote your way out of it. Hell no. You're not going to vote your way out of it. You know, you're going to just have to take your country back. And I have a good idea. I think that's why they're doing the No Kings thing. They respond to me. You know, it seems insane, but I just came out, you know, but they respond to me, but also, you know, use it as a way to distract from genocide, right? That they're the biggest case of anti-Semitism, genociding Jesus's people, is very anti-Semitic, actually. You know, because everyone's tossing that word around, anti-Semitism, and it's like, yeah, it is. You know, it is anti-Semitic to be blowing up Jesus's people left and right. You know, and then trying to arm some of them just so you could just make a little. And they're like, yeah, we're buddies with the Hindus too, and it's like, yeah, no, you're not. You're just using them. You're just using them, and then when they're done being used, like in a Warcraft game, you're sending your character off, you know, to be killed because you want to be able to build other characters, or you want to have fewer ones around, you know, because they would have their character limit, like you could only have so many troops on the battlefield. So yeah, shit like that. They're just using Hindus. They're using everybody. They're using everybody, and they're trying to win this stupid religious war that they made up. The other ones aren't making it up. And I find it a very smooth move to, name places very Christian in Iran, like the Virgin Mary subway tunnel system, I think, that just opened up recently. Yeah, because, if Israel does anything, then it's just going to fucking be even more obvious, to the Christians and Catholics. And yeah, your Pope is meant to jerk you off, all right? He's not meant to fucking help you or save you. Everything you pretty much know about Jesus is a lie. Even his skin color, he was much darker. He was Palestinian. I may share the same blood and everything, but they have a knack of changing their skin color over many generations and breeding like my like my parents bred cats. I should get some more water. I got a little cotton mouth after that cigarette and joint there. But yeah. Meow. Anyway, I forget what I was talking about, but yeah. So I'm sure all the viewers are like, "You're talking about this," and it's like, anyway, whatever. I'm moving on from all this stuff, and I'm not going to have people use my sexual abuse to abuse others for your fucking evil deed while you think we're protecting children now, Chris. I have some creative ideas, although your cognitive dissonance would probably be like, especially for the Alba Stars, but that's on you. That's not on me. And yeah, I'm moving on from this stuff, and sorry I forgot all that. The evil does like getting off on the innocent, preying on the innocent and corrupting them and stuff like that. So I mean, and props to the people who actually kept it straight, but I can't really tell who a lot of you are. So sorry if I blend you in the same category as those two, because there is the few that do get it right. So fuck, props to them. Thanks for not having your children feel themselves up around me and like chloroform me and fucking like rape me with your children and maybe take pictures with me with your children. That's nice. I do appreciate that, because I do have a history of that happening to me, because the Zionist bullshit and what I am and what they try to make me appear to be, to discredit, is the thing. But I know what I am. If you keep on poisoning the shit, something else is going to happen. There's going to be like, the 10-eye Atlas coming next year, and it's, 4 dozen buddies, throw something else into the earth. Fuck with you guys. The ones that need fucking with. They're in their hubris would be their downfall. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to rant a little bit about that. I want to enjoy my time here at the park. I'm not trying to make a bunch of videos. I kind of shat out a lot of videos at the end of September to like mid-October here, but I'm not going to be cranking out a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not trying to, there's already enough material and it plugs people into the matrix, and I ain't trying to do that. I'm trying to wake people up to it. And many good people are too, so thank you. They've been trying to wake me up since I've been in my cocoon, and they're like, come on, tapping on my little cocoon shell, and they're like, come on, Chris. Yeah, I didn't know. It's been amazing. That's why so many people wanted to get with me too. Not just dating or marrying wise, but even like friendship. They're getting like 5, 10, 5, 6, 7 grand a month. It's changed, throughout the 90s, early 2000s, and the 2020s here. I think they're getting $7,000 a month, which is strange because, other people are getting $7,000 a month, and they would be the ones, hitting me with dues, trying to hijack me, so make their bullshit seem legitimate. Man, I hope Iran next time they fucking rightfully, missile Israel's hell, they fucking target the banks, hit them where it hurts. Hit that pyramid too. Fuck that fucking pyramid up. Fucking blow that shit up. Fuck yeah. That pyramid is a symbol of all your demise. Fuck that shit. It ain't no holy site. Get rid of that shit. Or, Russia, whatever, If shit kicks off, they're trying really hard, but we got we got a lot of bad script writers, as you can tell with Hollywood lately too. And I'm not just the past few years. I'm talking about like past few decades. It's been like shitty movie after shitty movie after shitty movie after shitty movie. Occasionally a good movie. It's like, oh no, they make us like the fucking Palestinians, starving them. They're like, oh my god, we're so fucking hungry and we're starving to death and we're like emaciated and skinny and like, and we just, we're starting to eat dirt and just anything in our stomach, and then they're doing the same thing with the Hollywood shit. They're like, oh, bunch of shit. People are like, where's that stuff? And then, oh my god, finally, a good movie. Oh my god. Yeah, the show sucks. Their Space Alien Truman show fucking sucks. We should change the script and fucking hit the bankers' banks. The ones causing problems. Especially in Israel's hell. Fuck their shit up. Gives a fuck. Fuck their made up economies and all that fucking bullshit. Economos. Fuck economos. Fuck Moloch. Fuck Baal. I never got any of that shit. I did get like Lucifer last year, but I was like, I'm like, nah. And I did say Enki, but I thought I said, I thought it was end key. Like the end key, like end times, like, the end key paging down all the way. But like, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. So, and I got the Satan thing, and then I'm like, Mercury, so other beings are speaking through me, and it's like, oh shit, I don't know. I don't buy into the schizophrenia stuff, and I don't channel all the time. I would call it channeling, but I guess maybe like well, here. Let me start over. I was watching a video and there was like a guy and he got violent and he started doing the fuck you to somebody out his car window at someone else, and then he got out of the car and then he opened up the other dude's car and dragged him out and beat his ass and did some time in jail, and then his probation, and everything, and they learned that he's schizophrenic, and it's like, no dude, it's spiritual warfare, and you're being hit with a bunch of demons, maybe because you're possessed, and those are actual interdimensional beings, like, trying to poke at you in your head. And the more that you let it affect you, the more it feeds them, right? So, and then also being given medication that you don't need. Like all this, mental health shit is all made up by a bunch of demons. And they have their people in positions of power, doctors, lawyers, psychologists, therapists, politicians, judges, cops. These are the people that run the masses. When you think about it, who runs the masses? And you think about this group of people, mayors, governors, and that's who they target, because they're like, look, we're like a smaller percentage of the population, but like as the Zionist that hides behind Jews, so we just need to target, the important ones, And then they have their fucking failures and everything. Like I was talking to this chick and she's like overcoming her addiction and she, is doing the sobriety stuff, and good for her. And She was doing this sobriety thing, and it's like, yeah, they sent me a bunch of fucking like women that were like on meth and dope and shit too, to try to fucking trip me up. And that's what they do. They do that intentionally. Like if you have a son or daughter that got hooked on meth or heroin or something, that was that was an intent. Very likely an intent, I would say. I mean, I can't say 100%, but it probably could go 99% certainty. And they send you they're like, oh, we don't like this one, or we made this one, they're going to push our drugs and everything, and then we could steer them into the lights, the targeted lights way, and then we could like ruin them, and and everything is very sexual, and I can't wait for y'all to evolve into the fucking grays already, so where you don't have genitals. They sexually abuse me, so I enjoy my dildo time, but it also could be a Satan thing. But I'm taking a step back and I'm just being honest, and I'm like, look, also that they could be hitting me with dues and make me think certain thoughts too. All right. And maybe that's why I'm trying to walk the line here. I'm just like, look, the line is just informed consent, and the more evil stuff is not consent. All right. And a lot of people didn't consent to a lot of this stuff. Even your life and everything, your false life that you're living. I'm sorry, it's so messed up here. Um, some of the aliens really laughing at you, because some of them be pissed at you. Some of them be pissed at you, so they like to fucking fuck with the humans. Stuff that happened a long time ago. But you're also pissing off the ones that are fucking your makers. And I don't think that's lizard people. I think the Anunnaki and lizard people are different. But I think little demons cosplaying God and everything will get you to think that they're the same. At least while they're not really here in large enough numbers, right? If they came here in large enough numbers, then it's like, oh, okay, see you humans, we're the peace the fuck out. They're fucking, taking off or portaling out or whatever the fuck. Stargating out. They're like, all right, we're doing the mass evacuation now. See ya. Mom and dad's here. I would say they are powerful, but all because they're powerful, like, doesn't make you God. All right. And yeah, we're all connected. But you gotta admit that we're all connected. But they're like, no, only us. And they actually try to fake that shit, like with the fake signals and the poisoning, because that's what that's about. It's about hurting your pineal glands that you don't know much about, probably. And that pineal gland is your antenna, your receiver into the universe. And if it's highly damaged, you're not going to be living, a connected life, at least. You're going to be living a disconnected life where, yeah, all I do is work and sleep. And it's like, man, I'm very appreciative of the people who lift me up above the crowd. Sorry I've been stumbling here and there. I'm not sorry that I can't please everyone, really, or that I'm real. I'm just real. Like, people do that weird culty stuff, and it's like that Waco shit. That Waco shit, yeah, it was weird and everything. He was like telling people, I need your like 12-year-old daughter and shit. That was weird, but that was that little group's business. All right. That was the government is doing that stuff. The government is doing that stuff, and they're doing worse stuff, and they're eating people, and they're eating like mermaids and shit, torturing them beforehand. And yeah, there's just worse stuff than some weird eyes wide shut shenanigans. And people could take that and leave it. And that's just that. I'm not trying. I'm already hard enough to, I already have that divine protection with being asexual, my whole life, and just being taught really hard. Like, this is like the way that it is, Chris. You get yourself a woman. You got to pursue her though. Like I annoyed like one of my first girlfriends into dating me. I feel. And because of the culty stuff, they just like, they're like, yeah, we got him programmed and everything, and now he's got one, but it just didn't feel right. And there was always something that people weren't telling me, and that's, the stuff that I'm talking about or have been talking about. People haven't been telling me that stuff. And she even told me about her, being sexual with someone, older than her. She was like, I was 13, and I was just like, jumped on his dick. She didn't say that, but I don't know. You guys get horny and do weird things, and I can't, speak to every situation. Just, as long as it's consensual, that's a lot better than the non-consenting, you know. And when it gets too old, it gets too greedy. What the hell? Um, like the kind of greed that, yeah, you guys make like a sex offender list, but you never make like a war criminal list. You never make like the banker that blew up the economy and hurt like, millions or billions of people. You never make those lists, like harmful people, and they're connected to like the stuff that you wouldn't believe. Who eats babies? Nobody eats babies. God, that's the stuff only in movies. Kind of gaslight. They have y'all gaslit like that. You know, no, I'm not into eating babies. Either. I don't want to do evil things. Like, and that's pretty much the qualifications for president right now. Is I have to do some evil fucking things to even be president. And no, and they even have that fucking Jill Stein controlled opposition. It feels, and it's just like, look, y'all gonna have to take your nation back, and you should do it before they replenish the U.S. military forces with nothing but foreigners. Because then when they get a bunch of foreigners that are trying to, yeah, you could be a citizen of the United States as long as you bash in the heads of the citizens of the United States. Once we try to get rid of their Second Amendment, don't worry, we secretly killed Charlie Kirk, so we're going to try to do it that way, and we make a bunch of mass shooters. Oh yeah, no mass shooter list too. That's a little hard. The Zionists be involved in that one. That's a little hard to prove. And they like the plausible deniability of everything. They're like, look, it wasn't us. It wasn't us. It was never us. Even though we're always doing this stuff and we're torturing your children from kindergarten to 12th grade or pre-K to 12th grade, and beyond. To get them to kill themselves, to get them to fucking recruit, into the underage sex shit, to get them to be a mass shooter, to get them to be a sex slave, they have a lot of different outcomes that they work with by doing these abuses on people. I was supposed to be Michael Jackson. I was supposed to make some money for my family, but I got some of those spiritual people on Twitter and shit. They're like, sometimes a soul is so frustrated it just doesn't want to. It's like, I know, right? Like every job that I've had, I'm like, it's not fulfilling. I'm like, fuck this. No matter what situation I was in or how bad I needed the money. And I always found myself leaving the job. And that was a sign of my soul being sick and tired of all this stuff, because I've came and gone so many times before, and I've done this making money thing before and get murdered off, and then I get reborn, and then they try to make me some loser and then give me even less money and blah blah blah, and I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. So that's one thing I would have to say is my little bit of tithing is appreciated, and I'm grateful for it. My community does lift me up, and my community does help me out with housing and food, and that is nice, and I am blessed. I'm very blessed. And that is some of the Freemasons. I do appreciate you. So you're not all bad. Yeah, but they do cater to the light and dark, though, too. So, but it's time for the light, because, the evil's had thousands of years, and it's time to tip that shit back. And I don't think Trump's doing a good job, maybe he is in the highest tier. I don't know. I'm not given this information for good reason, because I'm here to deal with other stuff. But also it'll be like if it did give it to me, like I'll be in some some Zionists, what they say Nazis are, but it's really the Zionists. I'll be like, in a fucking chair, having my teeth pulled and tortured, and they're like, come on, tell us, what chair are we in? So again, it does it for my protection. Just like I'm kind of like asexual, it does that for my protection. And I don't really find many of your jobs appealing. Someone, and I talked to this really nice person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person at all. But, like, you can work on computers, and it's like, a bunch of bullshit electronic shit that I'm trying to get away from. No thanks. Like, maybe if you hit me up before my awakening, maybe I kind of could have sustained it a little bit. But, you know, sorry, I'm a little sick. And I'm going to smoke. It was a little bit of green this morning, but it's pretty clear now. Or, I mean, white because I got cotton mouth. Got cotton mouth like a bitch. But yeah, I do appreciate the benefits that I get. But also, I've done stuff in the past. Had my kingdoms destroyed. And I rank above the 13. So, but I never, I don't know if I ever pulled that stuff before. I pulled some moves recently that I haven't in my past. So, good for me. I don't know about heading over to that one club again. I'm flip-flopping on it. I'm like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. I don't really know. I feel really rubbed wrong when people lie me out of places. People lie me out of places, and it's like, why am I going to go back to abuser? I have self-respect, You need me for magic? Well, y'all should have thought about that before fucking, pulling some bullshit on me. You know? They say it's a demon-haunted world, as Carl Sagan titled one of his books brilliantly, because he was part of the cult too. And he was part of cover-ups. And he stalked me in the late 80s, early 90s. And I didn't even know about Carl Sagan at the time, but I was like probing my memories, my few memories I have, and there was someone that was dressed and looked just like Carl Sagan at a museum, and I remember it, like these few flashes of memories that I have. Like, I'm waking up and I'm restrained in someone's basement, and their mother is chanting stuff about making love not work, and then I'm getting punched in the face, and I played that off as a dream. For most of my life, I'm just a child. I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old when that happens. And then I learn, that, I mean, there's Zionists everywhere. There's Zionists and the Catholics, and there's those two-facers that are part of the Freemasons and the Illuminati, but they don't really serve them. They serve a purpose of infiltration and like betraying when they got to, when they're called upon to act. And so yeah, it's really intense. Like my dildos get at me sometimes. All right. So, and I'm not buying this whole fucking I gotta be celibate, because that seems really like a spiritual warfare thing. That really does. I've awoken with, finally, my good feeling orgasms that I never knew I suffered from bad feeling orgasms until I had a full body tension release, followed by another one almost a year later. I never knew I had these things wrong with me. And so it's like, oh, wow, now we know what it's like to just kind of, I guess be healed, be a normal functioning human being too. So thanks for the helpers who help with that. I'm sorry I don't please everyone. I'm not going to fucking attack other people for life. I'm not going to be tricked into this child protection shit. I think addressing the demons and Zionists and everything will be enough child protection for y'all. and to expose their ways and whatnot. Um, so yeah, I guess thanks for the people who haven't roofie raped me with your children, and that I even need to say that, and that I could say it, and it's like being real. I know, thanks. Uh, anyway, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the time in the park here. You guys have a lovely day. Peace the fuck out.